Okay, so let's switch gears for a minute.
For sure.
Let's talk about foldables. So starting with okay, so out of all
I know you
foldables
totally want to
that
talk
are
about the
shown-
LG V50. I can feel it. That's the foldable for you.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
Sorry, that was a terrible
starting
joke.
with all the foldables you saw at CES and then at WC,
Sure.
which one stands out the most for you?
So the big caveat is I think foldable phones are a terrible idea. Now that I've said that, the one that I'm gravitating towards the most is the Mate X.
Wise choice.
Well, thank you, sir. I too also think you're pretty sharp crayon yourself. I don't know where I was. I couldn't stick the landing. No, this is hilarious. The main reason why I want to go Mate X, I would probably almost never unfold that phone. I want a dual screen device where the only cameras are the rear high quality cameras. My screen is not molested in any way for a selfie camera because selfie cameras are terrible. And all of my video calling and selfies are taken from the best cameras on the device with a way to compose that image. Because right now, I shoot almost everything from the rear cameras on my phone, and I just practice a lot to shoot blind so that the screen is out, but I'm using the rear cameras. So like when I shoot in Vegas and I'm shooting on an LG, one of the reasons why I stuck with LG for so long is the wide angle camera, you can just shoot wherever. It's so wide, you don't need to worry
It'll
about
definitely get you in the frame.
if you're exactly. You don't have to worry about composing your frame. You're just like, I don't know, I'll flip it over there and look, there's the the Vegas skyline, and how cool is that? And now I can go back to talking to you and it doesn't matter where I'm at. And that's huge. I can shoot a super high quality 4K ultra wide video and I don't have to worry about composing it. But if I had a screen on the back of my LG that I could use to set up that shot, well, the main camera sensor is actually a little bit nicer and has better low light capabilities. It's better autofocus, better image stabilization.
Yeah.
Like that would be a nice improvement, but I can't trust that camera sensor if I'm shooting blind. And the Huawei hugely solves that in only having that one strip of cameras and then using the extension of the screen as your composition window for setting that up. So that to me is really the biggest selling point. I really hope the Galaxy Fold will offer something similar, where you open the phone up and you use the tiny little crappy display as your composition window, and then you can still use the really nice cameras to take your selfies or do your video calls. To me, it's a no-brainer. But they put 6 cameras on that thing. And you're like, that's so unnecessary.
Unnecessary indeed. So that's somewhat the same approach with Vivo Next second generation took, which has the dual display.
Well, the first time
that was pretty interesting.
The first time I went hands-on was with the Nubia X.
Okay.
And I'm still mad at their PR. Like, I went to the Nubia booth. Sorry, I've told this story on my podcast too, so I'm totally repeating myself here. But I went to the Nubia booth at CES. It was like the last day I was there. So it was like Thursday, and everyone at CES is just dead on Thursdays by the time you make it to Thursday. And I'm chatting up their PR rep, and he has zero interest in talking to me. Like, none at all. And so I'm telling him, like, I know I'd love to do this. Oh, well, we're not going to ship it to the United States, so we can't send you one. I mean, like, I don't want to review the phone. What I want to do is talk about this as being the most viable solution for not having a notch and improving your selfie and vlogging quality. Yeah, I just don't, I don't see how that kind of conversation could work. And so I show him my V40 where I've got like video editing timelines on that phone. And we're not talking like iMovie. We're talking like multiple layers, graphics, inserts, transitions, 3 layers, music bed, voiceover bed, audio from the video files. And as I'm scrubbing through, I scrub past a little clip that I shot with Enabong from Board at Work and with Super Saf. They were all walking the floor together. And he stops me and like, oh, wait a minute, who's that? And I go, oh, that's my buddy, Enabong. And and that's Saf with him. He's like, you know Super Saf? And now all of a sudden I'm worth talking to. So I have like a 2-second clip of video where Saf's in the background like waving. And so I send them an email and they're like, yeah, but we just don't have any plans on releasing in North America, so we can't send you one. That's so dumb. Oh, only 30% of my audience lives in North America, you dork. Sorry.
Yeah.
Very long-winded way of saying yes, like the Vivo.
Oh, well. So, talking about foldables, do you like an innie or an outie? So that's the term which everyone is using. So you like the screens on the outside or the inside?
Again, with the caveat that I think both are terrible. I like the execution of the Mate X better. It's less complicated. It's a much higher screen to body ratio. No notches on your tablet side. But I don't think either really have solved the durability issues. So obviously they can't be made out of brittle or scratch-resistant materials because they have to be able to bend. Hinges are going to be terrible for any type of drop, regardless of whether it folds in or out. And I still don't think that Samsung, like if you look at some of the user-generated shots of the Fold at MWC, even though they don't close flush, there is a gap, sort of like a Surface Book gap when you close the Galaxy Fold. It still looks like that plastic starts to like bend or crease. So neither really solves the issues I have with a mainline daily use lifestyle companion gadget. But so far, the closer one I think to the actual better solution would be the Mate 10. Folding out, one display, cutting back on the operation. You don't have to have anything fancy to tell the phone, oh, well, now that you've unfolded it, you've got to go from one screen to this other screen. Oh, where you're on this screen, you're going to use this camera, not that camera. Like, that stuff just seems so cumbersome to me. And the main use of a phone, you have the full display on the Mate 10. You have a dinky little window porthole display on the Fold. And I know that can be solved by eventually putting on a more expensive front display, but that to me just, again, seems like an obvious compromise to hit a sub $2,000 price point. And I'd rather just go with the thing that's more recognizable as a phone when it's closed and as a tablet when it's open than jumping through hoops to look at all these different displays, aspect ratios, form factors. I really think that Samsung's solution is clumsy here.
Yeah, and even if you like compare them side by side, it looks like a generation leap between them. Like Samsung Fold got like outdated in 4 days.
Well, I know, it was like in literally 1 week. But again, that's what's kind of exciting is we've been having these conversations. Like Huawei has not been generating the most positive buzz when it comes to things like intellectual property.
Correct.
And I loved seeing in my Twitter feed, people complaining like, oh yeah, like Samsung put out a folding phone and Huawei like copied them like 4 days later. You know, like they made a phone in 4 days. You know, like that's part of the conversation that people are having in this sort of informed but not really informed tech conversation. Because here we've got, you know, it's like Volcano versus Dante's Peak or Ants versus A Bug's Life. We have two companies. They both made a folding phone, and that's where the similarities stop, is that they have screens that bend.
Yeah.
So now what I really want to see is a flip phone, is like an old a Moto Razor. That there were the rumors about that.
That would be the best reincarnation or the best remake.
I want that so bad. So I mean, if you're going to give me tall, skinny devices, like I would be cool with a 2-screen solution, or I mean, if you could fold it outside too. I mean, that might be a little funky, but you know, make it a little bit taller and skinnier than something. I'm holding up a View 20 here. Make it a little taller and skinnier, but then when it closes, I've got like an iPhone SE sized little square that I can do everything from.
That'd be really nice.
I would be all over
Sony
that.
kind of half-heartedly executed that with the
Yeah.
Xperia 1.
Yeah,
It kind of
that was adorable for you to say half-heartedly.
it kind of resembles the iPhone 20 memes. You remember those?
Yeah.
Which are like a lightsaber.
Exactly.
When the iPhone 6 came out, everybody's like, "Oh, they're just going taller and taller."
Ooh. But I mean, like TCL showed off their Dragon Hinge. You know, like they have a prototype device that kind of fits that bill. We know Motorola has been working on folding displays. Actually, I mean, I think Motorola showed off some of the first outside of LG display for this type of bendy screen tech. They just, you know, they let Samsung dictate the course of this market when they could have been out there ahead of it. That to me, I think could be a better solution for. There's not often that I really need this display on the go. I just need a reference, quick action, interaction, reply to a text, punch out a tweet, you know, shoot a quick photo, and I could do fine for most of that with an iPhone SE sized screen. And then when I want to sit and use both hands and dig into something a little bit more, I could open that out. Now I've got my 6-inch phablet screen ready to do that. That to me would be a bit more compelling and hopefully a little bit more durable solution for a folding screen device.
So talking about bendy screens, did you check out the ZT Nubia Alpha, the gauntlet style watch smartphone thingy? That's hideous.
I've only seen it. I mean, like I haven't been anywhere near it close enough to like manhandle that or look at it in person. But again, yeah, from the photos, that seems like the first baby step towards creating a science fiction-y gadget. You know, like I know people always talk about things like I want to be able to unscroll a display, kind of like what was that? One of the Mars movies. It was a Mission to Mars, or was it Red Planet? I can't remember. But they had these sort of semi-transparent scrolling, unrolling tablets, and that is like that's the worst solution. It's floppy. It's not rigid.
Yes.
You can kind of see through it, but you kind of can't, which means light transmission is terrible unless you're in optimal conditions. And you can't really hold it in one hand because as soon as you do, the whole thing just goes waka 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 waka. No one wants that.
It's dumb.
That's terrible. Don't do that. We can make it like a snap bracelet. You're like, no, you can't. and it's the same thing, you know, like when you know, I love watching The Expanse, but if we're hundreds of years in the future and we're still holding a rectangle, hundreds of years in the future, I don't care if the rectangle is transparent or has like a holographic pop-out display Nintendo style. If we're still doing that, then we have failed as a species. Like we deserve extinction. True. If 200 years from now we're still like, oh, let me hold this brick.